So we're hearing a lot of Russia stuff. Full disclosure, I think Russia did attempt to interfere in the elections in the sense that they wanted to institute propaganda. They seem to have communicated with the Trump administration. That evidence, in my opinion, at this point is fairly overwhelming. What isn't overwhelming, and it is incredibly suspect, are claims, often hysterical claims, that the Russian government hacked our election system. Hillary Clinton has said that there should be an investigation into it, and a lot of people in the center in the Democratic Party are advocating for it. There is
more specifically voting machines.
Voting machines, which I will outline in this article. So apparently, people do think that Russia may have hacked our voting systems, and California has now rebuked that claim, which was started, which had a claim that that's origin was from the Department of Homeland Security. California's top elections official has rebutted a federal claim that hackers targeted the state's election infrastructure one day after Wisconsin also cast doubt on the Department of Homeland Security's warnings. Last week, it was reported that DHS had contacted elections officials in 21 states to warn of hackers potentially connected to Russia, targeting state election systems ahead of the 2016 presidential election. The announcement augmented concerns about the integrity of American elections, already in the spotlight as Congress probes a wide-ranging Russia disruption effort. Let me just pause there for a second and say, the integrity of American elections is something that is incredibly concerning, but it's because we have given personhood rights to corporations who literally buy off politicians. 93 to 95% of the time, the person with more money wins. Princeton study, the opinions of the general public has a statistically insignificant correlation to public policy. Public policy and corporations and moneyed interests, almost a direct correlation. So that has to do with election integrity. This is gobbledygook and is a part of a hysteria that takes away from the very real aspects of how Russia did attempt to favor Donald Trump in the U.S. elections. But I'll continue. But California's Secretary of State Alex Padilla said on Wednesday that DHS was wrong to conclude hackers scanned the elections monitored networks, saying that the probe targeted a different state agency. California voters can further rest assured that the California Secretary of State elections infrastructure and websites were not hacked or breached by Russian cyber actors, Mr. Padilla said in a statement. Our notification from the DHS last Friday was not only a year late, it also turned out to be bad information. I remain committed to a partnership with DHS and other intelligence agencies. However, elections officials and the American public expect and deserve timely and accurate information, added Mr. Padilla, who has been a fierce critic of the Trump administration and its Commission on Election Integrity. The correction from Mr. Padilla marked the second time this week the veracity of DHS's warning has come under question. Earlier this week, Wisconsin officials shared an email from DHS clarifying that hackers had scanned the state's Department of Workforce Development, not its Elections Commission. So again, we saw, I believe, a Washington Post article that just said 21 states may have been hacked by Russian hackers. That was the headline, and they highlighted the states on the map. Now, Wisconsin, California saying, nuh-uh. I don't understand why papers like the Washington Post, which, you know, sometimes we're overly critical of papers like that. They do great journalism. They break the stories that we can discuss. But if there is a criticism, I think there's a really valid one to say that they just regurgitate sometimes talking points from the government and take them at face value instead of being extremely skeptical and critical. And this is an example of that. California Secretary of State saying, no, that didn't happen, yet it was widely reported in major papers.
I think that, it's important to point out two different things. So I think Emma's right. At this point, it's kind of beyond reasonable doubt. Like, the Trump administration and Russian government officials had meetings. There were emails back and forth. Trump was attempting to build a hotel in Moscow during the election, which I still can't get over. Obviously, Trump, he will slam NFL players. He will slam the mailman. He will slam John McCain. He will slam Mexicans. He will slam everybody but Putin, all that. So I think it's very clear that there's untoward relations. I don't know about collusion because that implies like, I don't think there's evidence that like the Russian government was the source for WikiLeaks yet. I mean, I haven't seen the evidence, although a lot of the media just, like she said, regurgitates what they say. So I do think there's evidence that they were collaborating to help the Trump campaign. I also think common sense. Donald Trump's son years ago said some of our biggest business in terms of real estate is with Russia, going back to the fact that they were trying to build a Trump Tower in Moscow during the campaign. So I think if you want to have your head buried in the sand that there's financial dealings between the two sides, yes. In terms of Russia doing propaganda on social media and things like that, like that's actually been happening for many years. So it's not like the biggest breaking news. I just think the media is salivating on it because they are trying to kind of stir up that Cold War hysteria. It's not a good thing that, you know, they do propaganda, but, you know, there's no like exit polls or scientific way to know like that's why somebody wins or loses. You know what I mean? I think a lot of the cake was baked in terms of anti-Hillary Clinton feeling, and probably Rush Limbaugh on Fox News had a lot more to do with that, and frankly Hillary Clinton, than Russian bots online. What I think is dangerous and why I wanted to talk about this today is, frankly, the media kind of just reports and regurgitates whatever DHS, the CIA, the FBI tells them. That doesn't mean that the FBI, the DHS, the CIA, and intelligence agencies are always wrong or always intentionally lying, but it's on journalists not to just take in the information and because you've had cocktails with these people or you know these people and you just want to break something, to just report it. Because when you report it, it just adds to that narrative that like we're in a, you know, Russia, some sinister thing is going on. And again, Russia is a nuclear power and you should be careful with that kind of reporting. And also, as Glenn Greenwald, who I respect a lot and admire, he tweeted this and I think he's right, if I could find it. Hold on. La-da-dee, la-da-da.
I can find it. I have it.
This happens over and over and over, yet any questioning of claims about Russia results in immediate accusations about patriotism and loyalty. He's right. So there's still, the Washington Post literally still has a story up with the headline, Russia hacked Vermont's electrical grid. It's been debunked. It's not true. It came from intelligence agencies. It's wrong. The New York Times is still reporting that Russia hacked France's election, even though the president, that beautiful man Macron, has come out saying it's not true. I'm not defending Russia. I mean, Putin kills journalists. They've killed gay people in Russia. It's an awful, awful authoritarian country, and I don't want to go there. And I'm not defending Russia, but we got to keep things into perspective. And this is just another example that journalists and viewers should take everything with a grain of salt and demand concrete information, because how you start the beating for war, whether it's in Russia, North Korea, or whatever, is uncritically taking information from government sources who many times have their own human biases and might be taking leaps with their intelligence.
I agree. Honestly, I don't think we have anything to add, really. That was great. And
Vladimir, I'm missing my check this month, so let me know.
Well, we're getting in the comments that the Democrats are actually donating to Jank, and that's why we're getting our paychecks. That Hillary Clinton's donating to Jank, and that's why he's apparently soft on the Democrats. Have you gotten your check yet?
No. In fact, I would like more money. So I don't want the Democrats to donate to Jank, but I would like more money. Yeah, I don't get that. I know there's a lot of criticism of Jank and TYT, and some of it's valid. I've been public when I think they're covering Trump too much or this and that, but I've seen like 4 or 5 segments in the last month where he was going hard at the Democratic Party, hard at the people attacking Bernie for no reason. He ripped Hillary's book a new one, so I don't. If they're donating money to Jank, they're not getting their money's worth, I would say.
Yeah, I know. You see, these people are pretty good with their investments. They say, "Hey, Hillary Clinton, here's $2,500 or $2,500. I can't. $225,000 for a speech."
225,000.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. The numbers, I just can't do it. For a speech, and you'll be favorable to us. I mean, it doesn't seem like Jank's really held up his end of the bargain here, but oh well. these conspiracy theorists. I can't deal with it. What do you want to talk about next?